Hi there. In this video, we're going to start investigating some new forms of offline footwork. And in these forms, my legs are going to cross each other. So that brings in a new dimension of paying attention to where my weight lands because of the issue of balance. But let's look at the mechanics of each example first. The first example of this new offline footwork that I want to address is the cross step. In this case, I am taking whatever my lead foot is, and I am crossing over my lag foot to the side and slightly forward. It's often used as part of a circular attack. The idea here is to cross off line, leave the line of my partner's oncoming attack, and hopefully gain advantage by being able to access parts of the body that I wasn't before. As I've noted earlier, though, as soon as my legs are crossed, I'm in a potentially off-balance situation. So it may be that in the very next moment, I would pivot on that leading foot and simply change the line of the fight to this diagonal fully. It might be that I would continue around the circle, opening the step after that. So typically this cross step might not be someplace I would stop, but rather a transitional step to a new location, taking the fight to a new line or accessing a part of my partner's body that I wasn't able to access before. The same could happen to my right if I were in a left foot lead, crossing the left foot over the right foot and slightly forward. I could then continue around the circle with an opening step, or I could simply pivot and face the line of the fight on this diagonal. The thing I want to focus on, though, is not so much the pivoting step, which would vary depending upon what my intent is, but that cross step, which is the idea of taking my lead foot and crossing it in front of and slightly forward of my lag foot to travel obliquely to the line of the fight. That's the cross step. Our next example shares something with the cross step in that one characteristic of the cross step is I haven't moved away, per se, from the oncoming attack. I haven't maintained or increased my distance from my opponent. Instead, I've remained on the same ground and changed the line of the fight. That hopefully gives me an advantage in that my partner or opponent's intent has moved toward me and they are now closer, and while I've remained safe by stepping offline, they are now in danger because I can access them from a new angle. This next form of offline footwork shares that characteristic. The general term for what I'm about to do is a vault, though I'm doing a very particular kind of vault called a demi-vault. In this case, it's the lag foot that will be doing the moving, and it will cross in a circular movement behind the lead foot to take me offline of the fight and turn me to face the line of the fight almost at a 90-degree angle. If I'm performing a demi-vault, it is literally a 90-degree angle, and I have taken the entire target area, probably somewhere on my torso, out of the path of the attack. But I've also maintained this spot I'm standing on with my lead foot. The opponent has hopefully gotten closer to me, and I now have access to a line of their body I didn't before. This would be a demi, or we might think of it as a half vault. The full vault would be a 180-degree turn that would turn me in the opposite direction. I'm much more likely to do that if, say, my opponent is charging at me and I simply want to step out of the way of their oncoming attack. So for our purposes right now, we're not going to focus on the full vault, but on the demi-vault. Again, my lead foot stays where it is, and my trailing foot is moving in a circular step behind me until the whole torso turns, obscuring the target. Important to note that the torso's movement must be part of the demi-vault. It's not just a movement of my foot, it's a movement of the targeted area out of the line of attack. The same thing would work if I were left foot forward. I would sweep that right or slip that right foot around behind me and turn the torso 90 degrees to the line of attack. So that is the demi-vault. Notice that both the demi-vault and the cross step leave me in the same area, allow the attacking opponent to get closer to me, and give me the opportunity to access their body from another angle, thereby hopefully being able to land an attack immediately after or maybe even in the middle of their attack. Offline footwork, pretty exciting.